Women in Print Alliance is dedicated to connecting, empowering, and advancing women in the print industry. As part of Printing United Alliance, we're fostering a more inclusive future through advocacy, education, and networking opportunities that connect women across the entire industry. Join us as an individual to grow your career, expand your network, and access exclusive resources, or enroll your entire organization to show your commitment to supporting women in print. Become a member today at womeninprintalliance.org and help us shape the future of print.
Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today I have with me Christine Yardley. She's president of Print Panther Direct. So Christine, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So excited to have you today. So I guess to get us started, would you be able to tell us a little bit about Print Panther Direct?
Sure. We're a commercial print shop, but we've really focused on embellished print. And we were actually the first in North America, I think, to get the MGI press put in for foil and varnish digital, totally digital shop. But we also have metallic inks, fluorescent inks, and I've just really developed the business through embellishment, so it leads everything we do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of people are still trying to figure out what to do with embellishments.
And it's interesting because I've been in it so long, I don't understand that people don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy way to up your profit margins if you're a commercial printer, but also a way to solidify your client base because you can give them something that's bespoke that others can't and something unique. And I like to think of print as a special, it's not a commodity to me. It's a special thing.
It should be special. It should be boutique in a way.
I think that's exactly how I describe myself. And I always say, I want a print that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And, so that's what I try to do. And I also like the line, I like to embellish print, not the truth.
I love that.
That's a good one.
So how did you get started in the industry?
I've been in it a very long time.
Okay.
Probably before you were born.
I don't know about that. I'm older than you think.
I don't think so, but I was a typesetter. I started as a typesetter way back. We're going back now 45 years, but I was a typesetter. And so I've always been involved in the printed page. I was a designer, a typesetter, but that whole industry changed.
Oh,
obviously,
definitely.
with the whole desktop publishing and all that kind of stuff. So I adapted with the changes and I really started to do bespoke products, binders specifically with sustainable materials. And then I wanted to print the insides of those binders. So it was a natural evolution, but what the embellishment brought to me 10 years ago was a way to make my product bespoke. And I really missed that creativity.
So how did you get started as being a typesetter?
I'm by accident, really. I was living in Toronto and I started working at a graphic arts company and back then everything was done manually. And I started in the stat room and I worked my way up, but I had a real eye for typography and I just loved it. And so I went to school and I learned everything I could about it. And I still, today, no matter what I look at, I see the font before I see anything else.
The fonts are very important.
Yes.
Fonts are huge. They can make or break a project if they're not the right one.
Exactly. And now I can embellish a font so I can bring it up one more level.
Yeah.
And it's the breaking point between good design and bad design, really.
So was there a particular turning point or moment in your career when you realized that this was really what you were meant to do or that you really wanted to do?
I don't think there was. It was a natural evolution for me. And I'm a natural learner. I'm curious and I get inspired by everything. And so it just happened. I don't know if it's that easy to do because I was evolving with the industry, but now the industry is set in a different way. So I think it might be a little harder today to become a designer only because do you design for print? Do you design for digital? And they're so different. There's even a difference between designing for print and designing for embellished print. So it's, I think, a trickier landscape. I think I was really fortunate to be in the time I was in, but I don't think there was a turning point. Maybe the biggest turning point was 10 years ago when I got into embellishment, because that was just like, wow. And that's when I started teaching and speaking more and finding my voice.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking designing for in printing, there's so many different versions of print, whether you're doing books, magazines, brochures, flyers, You go into the packaging side of things. They're so different when you're talking about designing for something. So where do you start in some ways?
Yeah. And package design, it just lives for embellishment, right?
Oh,
Because we
definitely.
all know the stats now on them picking a package off the shelf. And yeah, it is an art form, I think. And we brought maybe a bit of craftsmanship back to it
Yeah,
somehow.
which is really fun. Now, for you, a big turning point obviously was the move into embellishment. Was that a surprising turn for you? Were you expecting to go into something so maybe specialized?
Absolutely not. I wanted to grow the business and we were doing commodity print for all intents and purposes. At that time, everybody was talking large format and I absolutely had no clue what embellishment would do for me and the love I'd have for it. And it is a passion, I think. I think that sort of defines the direction you end up going is if you can find that passion. So no, I had no clue.
Now, question in terms of embellishment. So, what kind of embellishment are you doing?
Work with metallic inks. I work with fluorescent inks, and I believe those are embellishment. People will fight me on that.
I'm not going to fight you on that
No,
one.
is to me, and a metallic ink has flecks of gold in there. To me, it's an embellishment, as is a clear toner. And then I also have foils and varnishes, which are true embellishment. But I love the old fashioned letterpress and textured papers and stocks. Anything that adorns the sheet to me is an embellishment rather than just CMYK.
Honestly, I think nowadays it's probably more important to have that embellishment as well, that tactile nature for the print product, whatever it is, because they're on their phones all the time. They're dealing with emails, they're dealing with texts, but the younger generations are so attracted because of the texture and the tactile nature that print can be right now.
Absolutely. And print volumes are going down. Everybody knows that. So your print has to stand out and it has to be memorable, personalized with variable data, whatever form you take. I think you just had to bring it up a notch because nobody wants to be a commodity printer anymore. And if brands are printing less, what they print, they want it to be good.
And honestly, the commodity printer is not lasting.
No, it's a tough go.
Because if you're just competing on price, then you can just be like everybody else.
Exactly. And now we're all fighting for paper pricing and this pricing and that pricing. And so if you're working on a very slim profit margin, one little thing can make or break you.
Yeah. Now, with your years in the print industry, there's some misconceptions about it. Are there any that you would really love to see straightened out?
Huh. I think people will disagree with me on this, but I've worked with a lot of students, different places in Canada, universities and stuff, and they'll say that designers don't get it. They don't get but they do. I think there is generally a sincere love for print. It's not just digital. But because we've been so saturated with it, I think a lot of people in my industry think, oh, we're always competing. But it's not a competition. And I've just met the most amazing students that their vision is always including print. So I don't know. I think there's a bit of misconception with that. The other one is getting staff. What the generation that's coming up after me, it will be a different generation. It will be a different approach to print, but print's there. It's in everything we do. It's not going anywhere. So I think COVID shifted people's expectations a lot. I think printing is going to come full circle. And so that's a misconception. I've never had a hard time finding staff. If you treat your staff and you pay them well, I don't know.
That's part of it, though. I think a lot of people, too, with the misconceptions about the industry, that they don't want to go beyond the front door. They see it's a print company. Oh, I don't want to do printing. Because when you think about, for most people, when they're growing up as kids, we're not putting that in front of them as an option.
No.
We're talking about going back way too many years. We went to the firehouse. We went to police officers. We went to some of these other career paths professions that you could pursue.
Yeah.
I was never introduced at a young age to print. Thankfully, my high school had a shop class where I learned how to use some of the letterpresses and some of the stuff, which was interesting to me.
It is. But when you think about it, the whole desktop publishing movement with the Mac and all that actually opened the doors to more designers.
Yeah,
Made it more accessible.
definitely. But one thing I thought was really sad is I spoke with one woman and she is a designer and one way that the schools failed her is they actually didn't teach her how to design for print.
That's so true. And it's funny because I do the portfolios for the students every year. And so I embellish 200 covers and then they do the insides. And so we got the files and one of the students comes and works with us for a week. And I think it was an eye opener for her to understand how they prepared the file, but how we need to have the file to rip it to print it. And there's a huge disconnect there. We worked on every cover and this showed her the way to do it basically. But I think that's more of a not as so much of a design issue, but more of a production issue. And maybe that's just something that comes with experience.
Maybe. But she was like, I had to learn all of that on the job.
Yes.
Which is hard, especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah, especially if you send something to print and it comes back not like you expected. And I think that's one of the things. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago with Sabine for metallic inks, and the designers were so intrigued with, like, why did you put that as an overlay rather than an underlay? Why did you put the metallic first and not last? And I said, because when you think of that, you're knocking it out. It's an opaque thing. So if you want to have it be translucent, you're going to put it on as an overlay. So just little things that I guess if you're working with it, you think of as common sense, but until you actually do it and print it out and say, oh, that's not what I wanted, that's when the penny drops.
Yeah. Oh, I needed to put it this way. So that way, yeah, you learn by doing in many cases.
And samples, you can say, oh, I love this. How did you do it? I put the pink under it and that made that happen. Oh, wow. How did you get that orange? I put fluorescent pink under it because digital color. So I think, and that's the other thing also, because I come from a litho background and have that cemented in me. Today, if you come out and you're just digital, you miss a bit of that history. And I think with that history, it makes the pieces make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we can incorporate that so that they get a bit of the history, but also all the new tech. And I love tech, but it's not an easy thing. You have to not be afraid of it.
Oh, definitely. And sometimes it can be very intimidating.
It can. It really can be. And not everybody has the access to a wonderful press that will do all these wonderful things, right? Yeah.
They're working with what they get and whatnot. But even when it comes to some of the designing and they're not learning how to design for print, even what color space are they working in? Are they working in CMYK? Are they working in RGB? It's two very different things. And they get that final output. Ooh,
yeah.
what happened?
And they have no idea why.
Yeah, and they don't
That's
understand it.
mind-boggling, actually, to me. But I think we're hopefully bridging that gap just with education. And printers that are trying to sell these presses are trying to give more programs and more education, which I think helps everyone.
I think it does as well.
And industries like the FSCA, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the more education, the better for many of these students that are coming in to really learn, like you said, some of the background, like how we got to where we are today, but yet how is technology then influencing what we're doing now moving forward?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, changing gears a little bit, you're the president of the company. And unfortunately, in the print space, that's not usually the case. How do you think the industry could be more inclusive to women in the C-suite?
It's always going to come down to your capabilities, right?
Of course.
What you're capable of doing. I think that sometimes we do ourselves a disservice thinking that I've always thought I can do anything I want to do. I can be anything I want to be. And I was lucky enough to have that environment. And I understand that not everybody has that place to start. But I think we have to stop limiting ourselves. We can do anything. I love that one clip that I always see of Cher. And she said, something about a man. And she said, why do I need a man? Or, it's a funny statement. And I think like that. I don't think, oh, male, female. I think we can do anything we want. So how do I help people? I will hire a woman to run the press. I don't care who it is, as long as they can do the job. I have a daughter, and I've told her, you can do anything you want. I have a son and a daughter. So it's really interesting because I have brought them up the exact same way, and they both think they can do anything. So some of it's just your environment, right? And I try to help. I try to mentor. I think we just have to help each other and not think of it as competition.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, it is. But men do it.
They do.
Come on. We just got to get over the stereotype.
How do we do that?
I think we just keep helping each other and mentoring each other. And whenever you have a chance to suggest somebody for a position or teach another person something, I think that's what you do. And it should become natural. I don't find that I even think of it. I just do it. So that's how people have to think.
Now, for you as a leader, have you ever had to really step up and advocate for yourself? And how did it really shape your confidence?
Back when I was starting out, there wasn't really women's rights. And I put up with a lot of unbelievable behavior that I pray my daughter never has to. It made me tougher. It could have made other people less. And that makes me sad to think back on, but I'm not going to get angry about it. I'm going to try to just make sure nobody else has to have that happen to them.
So for you now, it's about creating the company culture so that no one will be impacted that way.
No, never. And to me, it's unforgivable. And I am in a very male dominated space. And sometimes I'm floored by the things that come out of their mouth. But I just think, okay. And I'm more of a quiet doer. I just think, okay, I can one up that. I can do better. Maybe it's just because I did reinvent myself so many times to get to where I am. And I'm happy for it because I do think that it builds resilience. Sometimes I worry that my kids don't have quite as much resilience as they should because I tend to protect, because I don't want them to feel those things. But sometimes you need to see that it's not all roses, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's just so important to help each other and to believe in yourself, to just believe, I mean, that you can do anything you want to do.
Why is it so hard for women to have that confidence?
Today, I don't know why, because we can educate ourselves. We can do anything. They can not usually better, but oftentimes better. So I don't know why it's so hard.
But it's something that I think I see as a thread with all the women that I've been speaking to is that confidence and imposter syndrome is things that so many of us women face on sometimes a daily basis.
Maybe that's because we're always juggling so many things.
Maybe.
So you think, can I be the perfect mom? Can I be the perfect wife? Can I be the perfect running my company, my client, this, that? So sometimes I think we beat ourselves up a little bit too much because we do demand more of ourselves and we do have to do it a little harder than they do. I think I went through that imposter syndrome for a little while, but then I started really listening because I don't like public speaking. Like with you, I'm very comfortable here, but standing on a stage, I just freeze.
Isn't that
And
like the worst fear that anybody can have is public speaking?
it's so awful. And so now I always try and say, can I be a panel or can I be with another person? I don't like being like the only person speaking. But I often think to myself, I go out, I listen to other people, men and women, and I think I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn anything from that. So now whenever I'm preparing anything I'm trying to do, like a lunch and learn or a podcast for the industry, I always think, is there something I can say that maybe they won't know? And it's interesting because I just yesterday, it was announced that I am Canadian Print Awards as November 6th, and I've been named Print Leader of the Year.
Congratulations.
Is like just so ridiculously gigantic. I'm still a little bit in shock about it. But I started listening to last year's speech and he got up and he said, I built revenue from 35 million to 50 million and I did this and I did that and I did this. And I thought, you know what? That's not actually what I want to say. I want to say that I'm actually a different leader. I lead by passion and empathy. And I don't want to sound like Mel Robbins when I get up there, but I'm actually going to try and deliver a 3-minute speech that maybe somebody will say, wow, that made me feel better. Instead of what have I done to make me the leader? I'm going to take this opportunity. And I don't know how it's going to go down because nobody has ever done that before. But I thought, why not do it? Because I can. I
definitely can.
And so that's the difference. I've outgrown the imposter syndrome. I've got my voice. And now I can get up on that stage and say things that, like, frankly, a man probably would never say. So that gives me power.
It gives you a lot of power. But now we have to get that power and be able to encourage and find the power in all of the women that are within this industry.
Every person in that audience that's a female will hear my voice and say, wow. And my kids will make fun of me for my quotes because I'm always quoting something. But there's this
Isn't that what kids are supposed to do?
There's this journalist, James Harding, he was with the BBC, now he's with the Observer. He gave an hour speech at the Edinburgh Film Festival. That was profound, but I thought, how did he remember all that? I couldn't believe it. But one of his lines was, if you have access to the ink, use it wisely. And I just love that line because I have access to the ink and the toner, and I'm going to use it wisely, and I'm going to try and make a difference. So when I speak, I'm going to say, you can be up here. I'm just a mom. I'm just standing up here. I'm just a normal. So I'm going to really use this opportunity on November 6th to deliver a empathetic, heartfelt thank you.
That
Because
is awesome.
I know, that was a gift. I literally think that was a gift given to me. And I'm not gonna talk about how much the revenue went up or embellished print or any of that bullshit. I'm gonna talk about we're people. And we're all in this room, and you nominated me to stand up here. And I'm a leader. You should be giving me the Lifetime Achievement Award, not a leader. I think it's almost funny because I think of somebody younger being the leader of the year.
Yep.
But I think, and I was chosen because I try to give more than I take. It's as simple as that. And if every woman thought that way, every person thought that way,
That's what I was leaning into. Yeah.
we would be a much happier place. And I think our industry is really trying hard. I see tangible movement in that way.
There's a lot of groups that we've had in-person conferences that are smaller than the expo, where you actually see people that are collaborating and really learning from each other, letting their guard down a little bit,
Yeah.
which I think we need more of
Yeah.
because, like you said, it's about people. We do business. People do business with people. Yes, they're attached to a company. Yes, there may be a product, but you're doing business with a person because you trust them, because you have some kind of relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there has to be a connection.
Yeah.
Your biggest client can be a male or a female. You have to have a connection. It's all about connecting with people, really. And I think that starts with empathy, really.
It definitely does. And that's how you're shaping your company culture.
Yeah. And every client I deal with and every supplier I work with and every podcast I do. And I just think if that's my little bit of a legacy, I'll be thrilled.
So that's going to be your legacy.
Yeah, I like people to think she was a really kind person. She knew her stuff, and don't suffer fools well. But I always try to lead with kindness.
Lead with empathy, lead with understanding.
Yes. And if we can do that, I think it's infectious. Then you're helping your community, not just your a female or a male or anybody in the industry. You're helping our industry.
Because you started businesses, you're working because you want to do something good for your family,
Absolutely.
want to do something good for your community. And it's the people that you're supporting.
Yeah. I'm proud of some of the work that I've done. I love that feeling of, wow, that's gorgeous. There's a certain beauty to print,
Of course.
especially embellished print. And I love that part of it too. I'm not an artist. I don't paint wonderful canvases, but I can do this craft that can make something better. And good design, I think, makes the world better.
Oh, it definitely does. Because there's been some bad design out there that is, whew, I can't unsee that.
Yeah, it's true. And when I walked around the floor this time compared to last year, I don't know why, but I find every single booth had gone a little bit extra. Like the booths are gorgeous.
They are.
Look so colorful. There's a theme, and I'm blown away by it.
They're stepping up their game.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to keep that going, I think.
I think so too. If you were not in the print industry and you were dropped into this conference hall and said, walk around, I don't think I know anybody that would go, wow, look at that. Oh, wow, look at that. It's mind boggling,
It is.
especially from a digital perspective. It's really magic what's being done.
And I think it would also open up people's eyes to see how much print is impacting your life personally.
I know.
Like how much you interact with it on a daily basis.
You touch it constantly.
Yeah.
And we tend to think of just this. My paper is in our lives, and it's just a tangible thing. I read a book. I don't read on my phone or on a Kindle or whatever. I just like to feel a paper. I'm a magazine junkie. I love magazines. I just love the feel of it. And I can't imagine cuddling on the sofa with a blanket and a device.
Yeah.
I'm with this all day long, or my laptop all day long. I like having the printed page.
There's something about the smell of books too.
Yeah.
Smell of newsprint.
Yes.
I still remember that.
Oh, I know. I love that smell too. I know. It's weird. Digital shops don't have that smell, unfortunately. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's interesting.
So as we're wrapping up, my favorite question that I ask to conclude is knowing what you know now. So with your years of experience in the print industry, coming from the litho side, moving into digital, moving into the embellishments, if you were starting today, walking in the shop, you know nothing about the industry, what advice would you give yourself?
I think I'd go with my gut more and have more belief in my ability to critique of a piece of print. I think sometimes I was a little self-conscious about that. I think I'd be a little bit more brave. And it's funny because I got my dragonfly tattoo. My kids were shocked that I got it. But when I'm feeling I look at it when I feel brave because I think it's a transformation, a dragonfly. And I think I would be a little braver. I think I'd be a little more outspoken. And I think I'd cut through a lot of clutter. I took a lot of detours. I think I'd try to see where I want to go and take a straighter line, not like a turtle that's coming from the sand and going back and forth to finally get to the ocean. I try and get a little bit less clutter in my path and not let people distract you. I let too many people distract me from where I wanted to be.
It's hard to stay on that path and not be distracted.
So hard, especially when you have kids, this and that, and so many things. But I think everybody's got something inside and really follow that gut. I'd follow my gut more. And every time I didn't follow my gut is when I got messed up. And then I'd have to self-correct and go back to what I knew. So just really have belief in what you do. You know what I mean? When you see artists, that's why they're wonderful artists, because they believe in what they're creating. That's a hard thing to tap into, though.
And to really define it and to figure out what that something is.
Yeah. And I think the only way to know it is by doing. And then you think, wow, that felt good. You know, that was right. That felt good. And then every time you get that feeling, say, what did I do? How did I do it? And how do I make that my next step?
How do I replicate that again?
Yeah. And not just go blindly. I think I went through so many years blindly, just in a frenetic kind of chaos. Just really try to slow yourself down and say, okay, that was right. I like doing that. Or that was right. Oh, I know that's a strength of mine. I'm gonna follow that. I think I ignored that a few times. And being in a male-dominated business, it's easy to get distracted because you're not thinking the way they think. So you have to be true to your vision, and true to yourself.
It's great advice. So, Christine, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with me. I really appreciate us sitting down.
It was really fun. I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about, but it came out really easy.
It was perfect. So thank you again.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.